Welcome to another episode of Celebrity Crime. In today's episode, we will dig out the dark past of one of our favorite Hollywood actors, Danny Trejo. Let's start with bringing his early life into the spotlight. Danny Trejo was born on May 16, 1944. He was the son of a construction worker, Dionisio Dan Trejo, and Dolores Rivera King. Trejo was born as the result of an affair when Dolores' husband was busy at war. Danny's father was arrested while he was living in San Antonio, Texas, for stabbing a man. He even used to abuse Danny Jr. often. Danny Trejo then looked up to his father's youngest brother, Gilbert, since he was like an older brother to him. In 2014, Danny told Mario Lopez that Gilbert was only 6 years older than him and a constant inspiration to him.
My Uncle Gilbert.
Your Uncle Gilbert, man. So
my mentor.
why was he your favorite?
Well, he was my dad's youngest brother. So basically, he was like my older brother.
Got it.
He was only like 6 years older than me, and so we became close,
Gilbert trained Danny in boxing, but was also the man who got Danny into drugs at 8 years old. When Danny turned 12, he found Gilbert shooting heroin and got his first fix at that age. Gilbert was rich, and only a rich man could afford this many drugs and heroin. Plot twist, Gilbert used to commit robberies to fulfill his habit of heroin, and shortly after included Danny in his robberies. When Danny was 18, he got into some real trouble. A disagreement at a drive-in movie theater led him to stab a man with a broken alcohol bottle. And this time, he went to jail. A few months later, he was released from jail, but he didn't stop his illegal activities and continued dealing drugs. Soon after, Danny was caught selling 4 ounces of heroin to an undercover federal agent. And the best part? The heroin was fake. As a result, he was taken to San Quentin State Prison. Thank God Gilbert taught him how to box, because that became handy in prison. Danny couldn't help getting into trouble while in prison. Everything was alright until he hit a guard with a rock during a prison riot. When he hit the guard with a rock, it left him quite severely injured, and as a result, Danny ended up in San Quentin's solitary confinement. Danny was isolated from the outside world, including his prison mates. He tried to regain peace by starting to act out his favorite movie scenes. However, isolation was quite a regretful experience for him, so he couldn't really distract himself from reality. He was not only facing 1 gas chamber-worthy offense, but 3. Danny was convinced that sooner or later he would be sentenced to death, and as soon as he realized that factor, he started praying to God, saying that if he was there, everything would be alright, but if not, he had screwed up life. That prayer and that time were which Danny Trejo gives credit as his life savior. According to Danny, he was in the depths of hell, and that prayer saved him. God answered his prayers by dropping his charges on a technicality, since there were no witnesses. Danny recounted that moment in an interview, saying, 3,000 inmates and there were no witnesses. That was actually a miracle. Danny turned a new leaf on the book of his life. He decided to make a lot of positive efforts to get his life on track. He was released from prison in 1969, and at the age of 25, he started attending Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. Later on, his sponsor made him enter into a program named IRF, Recover, Independence, and Freedom, that helps teenage drug addicts recover from addiction. In the next 15 years of his life, he struggled a lot, since he just wanted to help others who were dealing with drug addiction. Besides counseling, he even fought in a few unsanctioned matches and picked up his work as a landscaper. It was 1985 when he got his massive break. One day, his 18-year-old client, who was trying his hardest to kick out the cocaine, called him. The client's co-workers were too involved in drugs, even at his job, and he was worried about them. Danny headed over to his place to support him. He thought that his client worked at a warehouse, but he was a production assistant on a film set, Runaway Train. When Danny stepped onto the movie set, his looks drew everyone's attention, and one of the producers offered him to appear in a prison scene. Danny agreed to appear, and when he took off the shirt for the scene, Edward Bunker, who also spent time in prison, immediately recognized him due to his now famous chest tattoo. For Danny, it was amazing to meet Edward Bunker on the movie set, and by sheer coincidence, the producers were also looking for a boxing coach to tutor the movie lead's actors. The movie director was so impressed with the behind-the-scenes practice and offered Danny Trejo to perform the role of a bad guy in his movie, which is where his acting life began. Although Danny had a tough upbringing and teenage stint in prison, he was able to turn his life around for the better. Danny Trejo's criminal background played a positive role in his now successful career as an actor. What's your favorite Danny Trejo movie? Leave your opinions in the comment section below. Remember to like this video, give it a thumbs up, and hit the follow button so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Till next time, take care.
¡Madre de Dios! ¡Qué chica!